Hey everybody, Asher here with a quick look rundown of the Stellaris version 1.2, the Asimov update patch notes. We're going to be doing a little bit of gameplay in the beta patch, which has been just released out into the wild on Steam. But I'm just going to quickly go over some of the highlights of the patch notes, things that I'm most interested in, most excited in. If you want to read the whole patch notes yourself, they're posted on the Stellaris subreddit, they're on the Paradox forums. But just a few things that I want to highlight here. There have been some major diplomatic changes, a lot of balance shifts here. You can see that there's some new things that you can make in terms of like defensive pacts, and there's a new emphasis on non-aggression pacts, treaties, and things like that. Part of the reason is because they have changed how you actually make relations with other places. You don't get to make embassies and just have 100% or a plus 100 bonus. Eventually, now you have to earn trust with people, which you can do that by sending favorable gifts, by completing and actually going through non-aggression packs, things like that. So that is one thing that's very exciting, should hopefully change the game, because the number one thing that I'm probably most excited about Asimov, and I'm not necessarily going to highlight it here right away, is that they've changed how open borders work, specifically that everyone starts off with open borders by default. Now, if you have some xenophobic like purifiers and stuff next to you, they'll close their borders, but they'll get a diplomatic penalty with everyone else, but they may not care either. But that means that the galaxy is going to be a lot more open. You don't have to declare war just to try and get to places to complete little quests. So that's all pretty cool. Another thing that I like, and there's a few underrated things I haven't heard as many people talk about, ship designs with excess power gain a small bonus to speed and invasion. So if you don't have to like break your neck to get down to zero power consumption, there's now a little bit of a change there. So I do like that, especially because the micromanagement for me to do that for some reason is kind of hard. There's also been some new war goals, and you may recognize some of these because Fallen Empires could do some. Make a tributary. Tributaries are like vassals, except you don't control them. They control themselves like before, but they don't necessarily have to go to your war, but they do give you energy and mineral credits. You can also force people to abandon planet like Fallen Empires can do, humiliate them, force open borders, or stopping an atrocity like slaving and purging. So it's nice that everybody gets those, not just Fallen Empires. There's also Space Nomads, which I have seen in one of my streams. They have a little bit of an increase here. And there's also diplomatic incidents. Certain action circumstances can now diplomatic incidents. That's part of the mid-game buffing that they're doing, although that's the one thing that may not come until 1.3 a little bit more. Now, there are some changes with slaves. I'll see if I can play into that a little bit more. But one thing that I really want to talk about is how they've changed happiness as well. This is maybe one of the things I'm most wary to see for my play style, how this changes, because base happiness is now 50%, and pretty much habitability, happiness and habitability are kind of two exclusive things now. Your primary, well, first off, they changed how the wheel goes. I mentioned this in one of my previous Let's Play episodes, is that now you can't just, it's now a lot harder for you to colonize other planets. This really, or other types than your base type, excuse me. So this really emphasizes gene modifying and trying to get that up here. But also, you can't just buff happiness all the way to the point where the people will go pretty much on any planet whatsoever. So that is going to be an interesting change as well. Ethics diversion in general, fanatic versions are 3 times stronger than non-fanatics, which is a pretty good change. But while all these changes are all well and good, and I'm scrolling through them pretty fast here, and they do have some bonus changes as well for like rebalancing weapons, lasers, particle lances, and tachyon lances lose their full armor penetration. But I mean, the biggest strength for the lances are their distance and everything. They buff missiles a little bit, point defense. They decrease the accuracy some more. One other change that I really like, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just kind of going through the notes here. In-game crises are now tougher. This is very nice because I've played through 2 of the 3 in-game crises. I actually had videos cut for guides, and I thought, they're probably going to change it because these were just kind of too easy to complete. Now, granted, I was able to take them on earlier than letting them spiral out of control. But one nice thing that a lot of people will probably appreciate as well is that in-game crises now occur later on average, the earliest appearance of the Prethoran Scourge and the Unbidden being delayed by about 50 years. So that is very helpful. That'll give more people an opportunity here. Another thing that's been changed is just in terms of government types. There's been a lot of like shuffling around here. We'll see that more in a little bit. But the thing that really gets me, and I think it's a very good change, is that any of the government types that include, like, direct democracy is a good example. Anything that buffs the number of core systems that you get, that's no longer there. It was a stupidly powerful bonus compared to other things, but now we don't have that. There's been all kinds of changes as well. Colony ships, another thing that's interesting is now they're not a flat 300 every time, but more importantly, private colony ships now cost energy credits instead of minerals, which is pretty interesting to me. Maybe it was always like that and I just never noticed. Private colony ships is a rare tech, and it's actually kind of hard to get. They've also made some system changes specifically for sectors where there shouldn't be performance bugs and slow down for having extra large sectors, which is pretty good. I just want to see if there's anything else. Yeah, that's one of the performance things over here. Also, another thing that's very important is that they're including map overlays in this. I'll be very curious to see how this looks as well. So there's map overlays, there's some changes in diplomacy. The biggest thing that opens up the game in my mind is open borders. So that's kind of a quick glance at the Asimov update. There's a lot of other things that go into the patch notes. By all means, feel free to take a look at them. And I'm going to be streaming some gameplay of 1.2, and I'm going to be, once I wrap up my first Let's Play series, I believe I'll be diving into another one in the 1.2 update, because 1.3 is probably going to be out until end of July, and that's kind of a long time to wait, and I've been kind of waiting for the open borders fix to make that work. So this is Asher. Quick take on the, the patch notes here. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments if there's anything else you want to discuss. There's a lot of things that I didn't go into as well because this isn't an exhaustive look, just a quick look at what were the highlights for me. Tell me your highlights in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.